Good.
That's fun.
All right, here we go. Y'all ready?
Yeah!
At the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows, the wind smells slow and sour when it blows. And no birds ever sing, expecting old crows in the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood, just as long as it could before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax and why was it there and why was it lifted and taken somewhere far from the end of town where the grickle grass grows? The old Onceler still lives here. Ask him. He knows. You won't see the Onceler. Don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkin on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkin. Y'all probably know that word better than I do. Lurkin, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of muffled glue. And on a special day, midnights in August, he peeks out the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of the rope, he lets down a tin pail, and if you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail in the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather's snail, then he pulls up the pail and makes a most careful count to see if you paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you paid him away in his snub, his secret strange hole, and his revelous blood. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper, my phone for the streets, I tell you, or for your ears. Slup! Down the slups and the whisper my phone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear since they have come down through a snurgly holes, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds were still clean and the songs of Swami swans rang out in space. One morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored troughs on the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw the brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbaloot suits, and they played the spade and ate truffula fruits. Far from the riverless pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. Anybody ever seen a humming fish? But those trees, those truffula trees, in my life I've been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I just knew what to do. I unloaded my cart. no time at all, I had built a small shop, and then I chopped down a truffle tree with one shot. And with a great skillful skill and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and I knitted a theme. The instant I finished, I heard a gazup. I looked, I saw something pop out of a stump of the tree I chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him, that's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpest and bossy. Mister, he said with the sawdusty skis, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed, what's that thing you made out of my truffle tuft? Lorax, I said, there is no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I've been quite useful. The thing is a theme. The theme finds something that's all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses, yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers, or bicycle seats. The Lorax said, sir, you're crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool thing. The very next minute I proved I was wrong, for just at that minute a chap came along and he thought that the thing I had knitted was great. He happily bought, but he happily bought it $3.98. I argued at the Lorax, you poor stupid guy, you never can tell what people might buy. I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him, shut up, if you please. Oh, is that a bad word? Yeah. I rushed across the room and in no time at all, built a radio phone. I put a quick call. I called my brothers and uncles and aunts and I said, listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Wansler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Niche. Turn left and we talkin', sharp right, south stitch. And in no time at all, the factory I built, the whole Wansler family was working full tilt. We were all thinking page, just as busy as bees, to the sounds of chopping of truffle trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented a super axe hacker, which whacked out 4 truffelas at one smacker. We were making thieves 4 times as fast as before, and that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week he knocked on my office door. He snapped, I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please, but I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots who played in the shade in their barbaloot suits and happily lived eating truffle of fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffle of fruit to go around. And my poor barbaloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They love living here, but I can't tell them to stay. They have no food. They can find no food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Wansler, felt sad as I watched them all go, but business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm, and I most truly did not, but after but I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads. Is that a word, a biggered? I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads. On the trees I shipped out, I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more needs. The bigger, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. Then again, he came back. I was fixing some pipes with that old nuisance. Lorax came back with more brights. I'm the Lorax. He coughed and whiffed, he sneezed and snuffled and snarled and sniffed. Onceler, he cried with crupulous throat. Onceler, you're making such a smuggless smoke. My poor swanny swans, why they can't sing a note, no one can sing who has small in their throat. And so the Lorax, please pardon my cough, they cannot live here, I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't know, I hopefully don't know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape the smog. You smogged up around here. What's more, the Lorax, his dander was up. Let me say a few words about the gluppity-glup. Your machinery chugs on, day and night without stop, making gluppity-glup and slupperty-slump. What you do with this leftover goo, I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, you. You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hum. No one can they hum, for their gills are all gum. So I'm sending them off on their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary. And I got mad, I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap, yap, and say bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering. And more truffle trees into the needs with everyone, which everyone needs. And at this very moment, we heard a loud whack. From outside the fields came a sickening smack on the axe of a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last truffle tree of them all. No more trees, no more needs, there's no more to be done. So in no time, my uncles and aunts and everyone all waved goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under the smoke and smuttered cars. Now all that was left beneath the bad-smelling sky was my empty factory, the Lorax, and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance. Just gave me a very sad, sad backward glance. And he lifted himself by the seat of his pants. And I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hesitated himself and took the leave of his place. Though a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. All in all, the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with the one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. That was long ago, but each day since that day, I sat here and worried away. Through the years, when my building had fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, says the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the Onceler. He lets something fall. It's a truffle seed.